Dream right here on Turf Sub Radio. I have a very special guest with me today, one I've been very excited about and been working to get on the podcast for a little bit now, but he's a very busy man and runs a very successful company. Marvin Salcido, the owner of Salcido Lawns. Welcome to the show.
Howdy, howdy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I've been excited to have you on because we were talking about just a minute before the podcast here that we'd met back in 2016 at a conference that we were both at, and I'd really have gotten to see over the years kind of the continuous growth from right after you restarted Salcido Lawns to now, and the tremendous amount of growth you've had over the years. And so I'm really excited to kind of get to sit down with you and kind of get into the behind the scenes, what all the little things that have gone on. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you bought a company.
I've bought several.
Okay. So I want to get into that. I want to talk about what that looks like. And yeah, so let's go back to, let's just start at the beginning and talk about where Salcido Lawns kind of like, what would you call it, 2.0 started, and it was it 2015, 2016? What talk to me about
2016.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about what the beginning started like. You were with another company, a partner in another company.
So 2016 was the worst year of my life. It started out that year. I was real depressed, kind of backing up into 2015. The business that I was in, we had grown it really fast, and we had a couple of really large contracts that went out for bid, as commercial contracts do, and we got outbid, and so we lost like 1.3 or 1.2 million dollars worth of work in a 3-month period.
Holy cow!
I had to step back into the field and work in my business rather than on my business. And, my baby that, I had built up, I now had to put on life support and kind of get it going again. And it was a struggle. And, I was relying on my partner to work on the business while I was working in the business, keeping it alive. I stepped back in as the mechanic, keeping the equipment going and everything. And, I was really relying on him to work on the business. Things didn't really work out there. So kind of fast forward to 2016, going into the beginning of the year, I was really depressed. Just overall, I hated my life. I hated my job. I wasn't suicidal or anything like that. I was just in a funk, just mentally, just not in a great place. And I got up, I'd go to work every day because, I was an adult and I had to do it. I had to bring money in, but I was just a zombie. I mean, I literally was just going through life. I existed. And to make matters worse, I was bringing my problems home, and it was affecting my marriage. And at the time, my wife and we had been married 14 years. And, whenever both her and I, we both came from broken homes, and going into marriage, we had made a commitment that divorce was never an option. Murder maybe, but never divorce. And, that we were in it for the long haul. And because of all the crap and everything that was going on in 2016, we were talking about divorce. And, that was tough on me, especially with everything that I was going through mentally. And I was not in a good place. So, on top of that, I had a partnership that was failing. My business was failing. Just overall life sucked. So thank God I've got an amazing wife, and she was willing to see past the problems and invest in me. And she helped pull me out of the depression. let's get out, let's go do something. You need movement, you got to get doing stuff. And so she helped pull me out of that. And then we started working on our marriage, and we were able to work through our problems and get past that. And then that kind of left, the partnership. And so,
somebody that's just getting into the business. So they're just starting their business. They're married. Maybe they have a couple kids, maybe they don't, but they're married and they're getting ready to start. What is your suggestion to them right now that they need to do to make sure that their marriage is strong through the process so that they don't end up in a situation where there's resentment? Maybe one doesn't feel like, the other one's taking care of them, but yet you're trying to take care of the business, which is also putting the roof over your head. There's so many different layers to that. What do you tell somebody that's just getting ready to start their business? Maybe they just started their business, they're married, and they want to make sure that their marriage is solid, but they also have the business. What do you tell them?
so you have to, first of all, talk it out. You have to sit down and talk through with the husband, with the wife, and figure out, how is this going to look like? What is this going to work? And especially if they're working together in the business, that creates a whole different dynamic. My wife and I, we learned early on, we don't work well together. We can work on small projects together. We do really great, but working together day in and day out, we do not work well together. And matter of fact, when we restarted in 2016, my wife, she was like, okay, I'll come in and I'll help you. I'll do the books. And I said, babe, I love you. No. I said, no, I will figure it out. No, I love you too much to work with you. So that being said, you have to create good, healthy boundaries. And that's mainly on the business side of things, because a lot of times when people are trying to get their business up and going, they work on it 24/7, and the business consumes their life, and that cannot, ultimately, it's not healthy. And so you have to create boundaries, however that looks for you. I don't care what that looks like for you. I don't care if you start with one day a week, like, okay, one day a week, I'm stopping at 5:00. That's it. Every Friday, I'm going home at 5. And then take it to 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and expand it out into where you're setting those boundaries that, okay, at a certain time, I'm going to go home. What I used to do, and especially even whenever I started over, well, first of all, I sat down and I told my wife, whenever we started over, I told her, I said, babe, the next 3 years are going to suck. I said, I'm going to work a lot. I'm going to be gone a lot. I said, I need you to be able to bear with me. I said, but I'm going to grow this. I said, but the next 3 years are really going to suck. And so she understood that this was a season of our life. Unfortunately, it was a season we had already gone through and we had already gotten past, and I had gotten sucked back into it by a series of unfortunate events. But that's where we were. Life is not always black and white. I tell people all the time, life is not black and white. Business is not black and white. There are many shades of gray. You're going to have to deal with the cards that you're dealt. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, it's going to suck. We're going to get past this, but this is what I'm going to do. And so what I suggest to people, and I tell people that I coach all the time, is like, you have to start setting boundaries. How I set those boundaries is I made a commitment to be home by a certain time every night. Nowadays it's about 6:00, sometimes 6:30, depending on if I have a late Zoom call or something. But I've made that commitment, like, okay, I'm shutting it off and I'm going home. On top of that, I don't work on the weekends. I used to physically leave my laptop at the office across town. So if I needed to work on something, I had to get in my truck, drive across town, go into my office and work on something. I made it very difficult rather than just walk in the other room, grab my laptop and start working, which is what I used to do. And my kids never knew me because they always saw me behind a laptop. And so I started setting those boundaries, and it's like, okay, this is how it's going to be. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to make it difficult on myself to be able to do this. And that's what I did. And so I made those boundaries, I made those commitments, and I stuck with them. And then even on top of that, if you have to, put it in your calendar, make it a meeting in your calendar. So when a client asks, hey, can I meet with you tomorrow evening? You can pull it up, say, I've already got a meeting scheduled at that time. You're not lying to them. You have a meeting in your calendar. It happens to be that meeting is your family, but you know what? They're important too. And now another thing that my wife and I do is we go on weekly dates. We have weekly date nights every Friday. My parents watch the kids and we go on a date. Sometimes we stay home. Sometimes we go see a movie. Sometimes we'll go out to eat, whatever. But we go on a date every single week, and we've made a commitment to that. And, for us, it's helped us talk through a lot of stuff, just help us work stuff out. And you know what, quite frankly, business is hard. If business was easy, everybody would do it. And, we need that stress relief. We need that time away from business to be able to spend with your wife, your significant other, and just not worry about that stuff. And another thing that I would encourage is, especially if you work with your spouse in the business, after 5 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, no shop talk. None. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't, hey, tomorrow, hey, no. Like the business does not exist after 6 o'clock. That's it.
That's good.
Talk about your wife, talk about family, talk about church, talk about whatever. Don't talk about work. Spend time with your family and then be present with your family. I think one of the worst things ever invented for the family was this. Because how many times, and I even catch myself doing it. My kids come up and they're talking to me, and I'm like this, and I'm scrolling through Facebook or whatever, and I'll put it down. I'm sorry. What did you say? Could you please repeat yourself? And I focus on them. I try to be present when I'm present. And so, I mean, it's something I still have to deal with it. I still have to work on it. I'm not perfect, but I've set boundaries in my life, and this is what I do. So.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Long and short of how to work on your marriage is you have to set boundaries and you have to stick with them. It's not easy. I've actually flown home early from work trips to make date night before. Now, granted, I'm not always able to do that. Sometimes I do have work trips that run over the weekend. But as much as humanly possible, I'm home for date night because I've made a commitment that my wife is more important than my job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you know what? There is no business out there that is more important than your family. And so that's a commitment that I've made. And I tell people that I coach all the time, your wife or your husband is more important than your business. You make sure and take care of that relationship. You take care of that relationship and it's healthy, your business will be more healthy. So there you go.
Money, man. Money. That's getting clipped right there. I'm gonna send you the clip for that. You can use that on all of your socials. That's awesome.
All right. Awesome.
So all right. So that's a phase.
2016.
Yep.
After 2016. So I worked through the depression. I worked on my marriage. Then that left my partnership. My partnership was failing. My business was failing. We brought in an outside consultant. He looked at the business and he said, man, your business makes great profit. He said, but quite frankly, you don't make enough money. He said, you need to make more money. And, unfortunately, because I was working in the business, I wasn't able to work on the business and I was relying on my partner to do that. It didn't happen. And so I needed to find an exit plan. I was looking at anything and everything to jump. I mean, I was about to go start applying at Burger King and wherever else just to get a job so I could get away from it, because I realized that owning that job that I hated was going to be toxic for me. And I needed to get myself away from that as quickly as possible. So, I could see the writing on the wall that the business, the ship was slowly sinking. And I approached my partner and I told him, I said, look, man, we need to take a pay cut. We need to put some money towards debt. We need to, keep the business alive, keep it afloat. And he told me, he said, no. He said, I ain't gonna do it. He said, I can't do it. He said, it'll bankrupt me. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, then I guess let's ride this bad boy all the way down. And, unfortunately, that's was the choice I was left with. I could have taken the pay cut myself. That wouldn't have been fair to me that I take the pay cut and he doesn't. And I wasn't talking a massive pay cut, but, enough that it would have helped keep the, give the company a little bit more life support, kick that can down the road so we could have survived. So that wasn't going to work. So I needed to exit.
Creating art from darkness. For over 20 years, Cast Lighting has designed and manufactured the world's most durable, energy-efficient, and technically advanced landscape lighting products available at astonishingly affordable prices. Cast offers an all-encompassing line of products with everything you need to get the job done. Cast Landscape, their most durable product, is best-in-class, low-voltage landscape lighting made of solid bronze with integrated and drop-in LED technology. These fixtures are built to endure the most demanding environments. Source Lighting, a new division by Cast, is your source for professional grand landscape lighting made of durable brass, offering both integrated and drop-in LED technology, and backed by Cast, the world's most durable outdoor lighting. Cast Lighting gives you innovative, state-of-the-art, old-world craftsmanship with tomorrow's technology. Visit their website at cast-lighting.com today. That's cast-lighting.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, no one rocks like Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Cress is leading the transition from gas-powered lawn equipment for professional operations with the introduction of the industry's first truly game-changing innovation in battery-powered OPE. With the Cress 8-minute cyber system, professional landscapers can now replace their messy gas-powered equipment without sacrificing performance, power, or runtime. The 8-minute cyber system allows for Cress-made 60-volt batteries to fully charge in 8 minutes or less, just enough time for a water break. Complemented by a full line of equipment benchmarked against gas-powered products, landscapers can finally take charge of their business and make the switch to battery. For more information, visit Cress.com. Visit Cress.com.
So circle back around, I reapproached him on the last day of August of 2016. And I told him, I said, look, man, I own a job I hate. I said, I've been depressed this year. My marriage has been suffering. I said, this is failing. I said, but quite frankly, I said, one of us needs to go. I don't care which one it is. I don't care if it's you or if it's me. I said, but one of us needs to go so that the business can survive. And I had already, I don't even know if he even knows this, and I'm sure he'll hear it at some point, but I told him, I had negotiated a loan with my bank, and I was going to actually pay him to walk away. I was going to buy out his shares of the business and pay him to walk away. And then I was going to start working and regrowing the business.
Wow.
But whenever I mentioned that one of us needed to walk away, he told me, he said, man, I'm so glad you said that. He said, I've been thinking about this for a long time. He said, why don't we do this? He said, why don't we take the clients that you have left over from when we partnered up, and we'll throw a couple more in there just to kind of round it off. And you take enough equipment for one crew and you walk away. He said, I want everything else. He said, I want the land, I want the equipment, I want the employees, I want the name of the business, the trucks, the contracts. He said, I want everything. And here was the kicker for me. He said, I'll even take the debt. And I said, you know what? I said, I'll do that deal on one condition. I said, if the bank releases me from all liability, they let me walk away, I'll do it. I'll sign everything over to you and I'll walk away. We went and spoke with the bank. The bank actually agreed to let me walk away. That night, my wife goes into labor with our third baby. And she's in labor for 28 hours. And forgive me if I get emotional here, because it still gets me every time. She's in labor for 28 hours. After we were going to have the baby at home, after 28 hours, the midwife is like, I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong. We need to go to the emergency room. And all the outward signs, baby was fine. Mom was healthy. She was in active, full-on labor. She just wasn't dilating like she was supposed to. So we rush to the emergency room. We get there. Within 20 minutes, they're cutting her open and doing an emergency C-section. Well, what we didn't know is that my wife's uterus had ruptured and she was bleeding out internally.
Oh my gosh.
Had she dilated, baby would have come out and my wife would have died. Because the majority of a woman's blood is in her uterus during pregnancy. Like it's a lot. So anyway, baby's healthy. Doctors rush me and the baby out of the room. They start working on my wife. Over the course of the next several days, I won't get into too much detail, but she has 4 major surgeries. Spends 2.5 days in ICU. She almost died on the operating table a couple of times. She's quite literally a whole new woman. They had to pump her with all new blood because she kept bleeding out. But within the course of the week, while I'm in there in the hospital with my wife, my partner is meeting with attorneys, getting the company to split behind my back, and sends me a message one day and says, hey, when you get out, I need you to sign some paperwork. At the end of that week, my wife is healthy enough that she's able to come home. She spends the next month or two recovering. She's since made a full recovery and she's fine. Baby's healthy. Everybody's fine. Everybody's good. End up meeting with my partner or previous partner. We negotiate back and forth with attorneys and I exit the company. And I started my new company over in October 1st, 2016. And I started doing everything that I was learning in the mastermind group. And I put my head down and I hustled. And I did a lot of guerrilla marketing. I got out there and I knocked doors and I passed out flyers and Facebook and anything and everything to get my name out there. And when I left, I had 2 goals to start out with. One, I needed to reclaim my income because I took a massive pay cut leaving the company. And then 2, I wanted to become a household name. I wanted my company to become a household name in my area. And I have since more than achieved both of those. And, I tell people that I forced my way into the market. And quite literally I did. I upset the market in this area with our advertising and just getting our name out there. As a matter of fact, I had several landscapers stop me either on the street or in Home Depot or whatever. And they're like, dude, what the crap are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, how did you get so big so fast? It's like, I'm just doing everything that everybody else should be doing. I'm advertising and I'm getting my name out there. And then I forced my name out there. I spent a crap ton of money in advertising, but I got my name out there and I grew the company. During the course of the last several years, I've bought out, I don't remember, 5 or 6 different companies. Some really, really, really tiny, some pretty big. And I continue just pressing on. This past year, we were just named on the Inc. 5,000 fastest privately held companies in America list. And we continue to grow.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
That's a big achievement.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of, and I'm going to say this not in a belittling way, but I'm saying this in the, like, there's not a lot of like mom and pop lawn and landscape companies that make it to that list. You know what I'm saying? Like for the green industry, for you to hit that list from the green industry speaks volumes about what you're doing, because you don't really see lawn and landscape companies hitting the Inc. 5,000 list in fastest growing companies, because like you said, like those guys were approaching you in the, you know, different places that you are, wherever that was. The people don't have that kind of growth typically in the green industry. And
they don't,
you know, that's huge. So yeah, I want to touch base on a couple of things because this podcast is all about hiring, recruiting, sales, marketing, branding, all of that kind of stuff. And you have done an incredible job with branding, marketing, sales, obviously the fact that you've hit the Inc. 5,000 list. So I want to touch on a couple of things. I want to talk about the marketing and branding side of things. But before we go into that, I want to talk about the acquisition aspect of what you've done. So I knew for sure, because I'd seen some posts and stuff that you've done like a couple years ago, that I was like, he bought a company. This is awesome. The way that you positioned it and the merger and all that kind of stuff. Talk to me. I didn't know you've had this many. Talk to me about the mindset and like the process that you go into looking at and purchasing other companies. Is it mostly around the instant cash flow and picking up that many accounts? Is it more about employees and pulling their employees in? So now you have the employees from this business. What do you consider when you're looking at acquiring? And if somebody's sitting here thinking, hey, I want to really grow this year, maybe acquisition is where I'm going to go, what do you tell them?
So the answer to your questions is yes. I look at all of those things, and all of those things I take into account, because, you know, it's going to instantly grow the overall company. And, you know, when I consider buying out a company, I look at a couple of things. One, why do I want their company? Do I really like their branding? Do I like their marketing? Do I like, you know, what they stand for? Do I just want their client list? Do I want the employees? What do I want from that company? And then I kind of make my decision from there. But, you know, I also look at, I can grow my company as big as the two companies together organically, you know, just through advertising, and, you know, I can grow it that big, but it's going to take me time. And I'll tell you this, buying other companies out is expensive. Growth itself is just expensive, but buying companies out is really expensive. But so is time. And I only have so much time on this earth. And I want to make the best out of my time as possible. As a matter of fact, you can't see it right here, but I have a poster, and it's called 4K Weeks. It's from 4kweeks.com. And it's 100 years in weeks. And every week I mark in its little X or little boxes.
Oh, wow.
Every week I mark another box off. And right now I'm about a third of the way full, and or just over a third. But it reminds me of the infallibility of human life, that, you know, I am only promised so much time. And so I need to make the best of my time. And so the best way for me to grow fast is to buy somebody else's time. And so when I'm buying out another company, it's typically because I want to buy their time. And I want to grow, and I want to grow fast. I'm like Ricky Bobby. I want to grow. I want to go fast. And so that's what I do, you know. And so I buy them out, and then I you know, balloon up, get the processes, get everything figured out, and then buy somebody else out, then buy somebody else out. And then I continue to go. Matter of fact, I've got my eyes on somebody else right now that I'm already in negotiations with.
Wow.
You know, I don't sit around. I don't twiddle my thumbs. I push, and I push hard. So, you know, when I'm looking at buying a company, you know, it's typically very strategic on why I'm buying them. You know, when I first started out, I looked at really small companies because that's what I could afford. And then as I grew, the companies I looked at and went after were bigger and bigger. I bought out one of my largest competitors a year and a half ago. And now I became one of the companies in town. And, so that's why I do what I do, and that's why I buy other companies out.
So when you're looking at what do you factor? Is there one thing that moves the needle for you the most? Is it price? Is it people? Is it marketing? Is it what is it that you look at the most?
Everything. It's gonna be everything. There's no way. It's always going to be this, because no two businesses are alike. They can be similar. They can be, in the same industry, but no two businesses are alike. And, as far as marketing goes, I've got my own marketing. I'm not as concerned about that, but I look at their reputation. I look at the company culture. I look at what kind of clientele do they have? Are they priced similar to me, or am I going to have to come in and raise prices on everybody? Because if I have to go in from day one and raise prices, chances are I'm going to lose a lot of clientele, and then that business isn't worth as much to me. So if they're priced similarly as I am, then that's good. I'll be more likely to buy them out. What kind of company culture do they have? Do they have a good reputation? If the company culture is good, then that has some value to me. If their company culture is toxic, then that devalues the company for me. What market are they in? Are they in the same area that I am? Or do they go way far out and I'm going to have to cut a bunch of routes because I want to stay local? So there's so many different factors that go into it. I could talk on it for hours. Matter of fact, I'm going to be putting on a good friend of mine and I are putting on a 2-day mastermind mergers and acquisitions conference in October.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be the first part of October and we're going to be just getting together and teaching people how to do mergers and acquisitions.
How do, if anybody's listening to this and is interested, how do people get tickets for that?
So we're pre-ticket sales yet, but they will be ready soon.
Okay.
So just keep an eye out. Follow me. I'll put it up whenever we do get a little bit closer. But I would say we're probably about a month away or so before we put tickets up for sale. So, but be on the lookout. It's coming.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure that we tag you in all the show notes and all that kind of stuff. And then when I see that stuff come out, I'll drop a link in the show notes for anybody that wants to purchase tickets to that. Cause that's really awesome.
Awesome.
Have you considered artificial turf? It's great for areas with high precipitation, which means no mud after a heavy rain and no more mowing wet grass. Today's artificial turf is made using recycled materials and helps to reduce water consumption in areas of drought. Turf Envy's artificial turf is constructed of quality raw materials, safe for pets, humans, and our environment. With decades of experience, our staff can help with support, training, and product education to give you confidence when estimating a project for a potential customer. Learn more at turfenvyusa.com today.
You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, Wayne Voles, the Prophet, your host of Profit Time here on Turf's Up Radio. If you listen to my show, you know I'm all about profit. As an industry, profit is something we fail to meet most of the time. If you're working hard but not seeing the results that you deserve, Profits Unlimited is here to help. We offer processes and systems designed specifically to make your company more successful, more profitable, and certainly more efficient. When you're ready to take your company to the next level, reach out to me at profitsareus.com. That's profitsareus.com. And don't forget to turn into Profit Time every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen.
So is there anything that your advice, I don't want to go too much into it then, since you're going to be speaking 100% on this. And I would encourage people, if you're thinking about doing this, go find someone or get tickets for this, because this is a great way for you to go learn from someone that's done it time and time again and has been successful. Like, this is how you steepen the curve of your growth, is by learning and just copying and pasting from someone that's already done it. Like, don't go out there and make a first purchase and make a huge mistake, because as you said, it's super expensive. But let me ask you this one question. What does the process look like then when you are, okay, so you've identified someone that you want to purchase. What's the timeline at? Like, how do you get all of that information in to decide then, is this a company that I want to purchase? Like, do you do a ride along with them? How do you really gauge a company for their culture and some of that stuff? Because I think, I'm sure that maybe the owner isn't probably, talking to their people like, oh, hey, we might have someone come in and buy us, be on your top behavior. But to some extent, that they're going to try to put up a front and paint everything sunshine and roses. So how do you get into that to really get the true picture?
A lot of it, you have to do it very, incognito. You ask around, you talk to other people who know about their company. That's how you find out about their culture. Do they have a good reputation on the back end? How's their reputation just out in the regular world? Do they provide good service? How are their Google ratings? Stuff like that. So, a lot of times, and actually several of the companies that I've bought out, I've never met their employees until the day I took over. Because everything gets done in the background, and then you show up and the owner's like, oh yeah, by the way, I sold the company. And a lot of times that's how it happens. It happens, the lead up time is super slow, and then it happens really fast. So, buying a company, it usually takes months to negotiate back and forth, if not years. When I bought out my largest competitor, it took 2 years to negotiate the deal. And we went back and forth and back and forth, and the negotiations died for almost an entire year. And I was just like, well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then he circled back around and he's like, okay, let's talk. So, but the biggest thing I'd say to, of course, you're going to have to go through the financials and, look at all the P&Ls and tax returns and all that kind of stuff. If they won't show you that stuff, run away. If they won't show you their financials, it's not the right business to buy. Unless you're willing to 100% lose that money if it doesn't work out, you need to walk away, because they're probably hiding something. They need to be very upfront. They need to be very open. Of course, you need to sign a non-disclosure and you have to do everything legally, but you have to be open on both ends. But when it comes down to it, you have to keep your walkaway power. If you get emotionally bought into the company, you are not going to get as good of a deal. More likely than not, you are going to overpay, and you're leaving money on the table. So don't get emotionally invested in the business until you buy it. Keep your walkaway power. I've done deals like that before. Matter of fact, one of the worst deals I ever did, I bought a company out and I should have walked away from it on the day that we were supposed to sign paperwork. And I knew I should have, and I didn't. I signed the paperwork anyway, ended up shutting the company down within 6 months, and cost me over $250,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really, really, really sucked.
Yeah. Well, and again, this is what yeah. And again, this is why you need to find the people like Marvin that have been there, done that, where you can come in and learn, because that, like, you being able to teach now somebody that piece of advice so that they're now able to remember that and go into their first acquisition knowing that like, okay, I need to be able to walk away from this if it doesn't feel right, if something isn't exactly the way that, you know, I like it or whatever it may be, because that could save somebody $250,000 or $1 million or fill in the blank number, you know? So whatever your price is that you're selling tickets for, guys, think about, this isn't the price of the ticket. You're tapping into somebody that could save you $1 million because you learn this one thing. I'm sure you're going to learn a bunch of stuff, but if you learn one thing that you can apply to your business that moves the needle for you, that's worth so much money. So I'm excited for that. I might even just jump in there and listen to some of this knowledge that you're going to be dropping too.
It's some good stuff, but I'll tell you this. I spoke with a guy this week who was looking at buying out a company, and the company was overvalued probably by 2/3.
Oh, wow. Holy cow.
And I'm trying to talk him out of not buying this company. And I really hope he listens to me, because otherwise what's going to happen is he's going to get emotionally invested in it, and he's going to buy him out, and then it could end up bankrupting him long term. You know, not all money is good money. Just because it looks shiny on the outside does not mean it's a good business. Just because they boast of a lot of sales, just because they have it packaged really pretty, does not mean it's a good value for you. You know, think about it this way, zero-based thinking, okay? If, let's say, for instance, you wanted to buy a company out and it's $500,000, okay? With that, you get some trucks, you get, you know, some equipment, client list, and I don't know, let's say they're making $750,000 a year. That's a good, fair number. If I gave you $500,000 in cash, okay, to spend on your marketing, could you reproduce $750,000 worth of work easily? And the answer is yes. If you can't turn 500,000 into 750,000 through marketing, you've got bigger problems. Now, if it was $500,000 business and they're asking 500,000 and it's, you know, 1.5 million, that'd be a little bit harder thing to do. Be a little bit harder to, you know, triple your money. So that might be a better buy. So that's kind of how you have to look at it. And the ratio that in my first scenario, the 500,000 and $600,000 and $750,000 business, that's similar to this other business that I'm trying to talk this guy out of buying. I talked to a guy last year who he was going to buy a swimming pool company, and I talked him out of buying it, and he actually came back later and said, "Thank you so much for talking him out of buying a company." Because what he was going to do, he was going to spend $40,000, and he was going to get a name, a phone number, and a website. 40 grand.
We both know you can get both of those for a lot cheaper than that.
A whole lot cheaper. And that's what he did. He just took the money. Yeah, he would have bought a little bit of a reputation, which has some value. But I was like, is it really worth 40 grand? And it wasn't. So he took the money, he just started his own gig, and he's grown it way more just on his own, rather than jumping into something and spending 40 grand for nothing. So don't get emotionally invested.
That's good. All right. Well, there's so much more I want to talk about on that, but I'm gonna put that on pause. We've hopefully given people enough interest here that they will go and buy some tickets and actually sit through your whole conference here. And actually,
it's going to be more than worth it.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't already gained some value out of this right here, this is incredible. So the amount of knowledge you've already dropped here is awesome. So the actual paid program is going to be incredible. All right. So let's move to marketing and branding and all that kind of stuff. Cause
Okay.
In my mind, you are the green guy. Like, you are the neon green dude. Like, I remember that truck, the big, what is it, F650 dually or something like that?
Big old F650. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it was 2016 or 2017 when you won the award, when you rolled up in downtown Dallas in that sucker, and that sucker was
350. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that sucker was
that truck anymore.
That sucker was sitting in the parking lot, and everybody that was walking in and out of the conference was like, dude, have you seen Marvin's truck? That thing's crazy, you know, because it stands out. It's literally a neon billboard driving down the road. And
I'll tell you my theory about why I started painting my trucks green. And so when I started over in 2016, I had a white Isuzu NPR. And in late December, early January of 2017, late 2016, early 17, passed my truck going down the road, and my guys called me and they said, "Hey, did you see us? We were honking at you." And I was like, "No, I didn't see y'all." And I was like, if I don't notice my own truck driving down the road, how is anybody else going to notice me? And I canceled the rest of my afternoon. And I went straight to the paint store and I said, "Show me your paint book." And I just started flipping through. In the first color that jumped out and slapped me in the face, I said, "I want that color right there." And that's how Salcido Green was born. Like,
wow.
It literally jumped off the page, and I was like, that's the one I want right there. And I started painting my trucks that color from then on. And, man, you're right. I mean, it does stand out. For instance, I bought a new, I say new to me. This is a 1948 truck. I bought it in, when was that? October of last year. So October 2022, 1948 Ford. I go to the SA conference in Dallas and I park it out front. Does not have my logo on it. Does not have anything on it, but it's Salcido Green. I can't tell you how many people came up to me and was like, "Dude, is that your truck out there?" Because they associated that color with me. Yeah. And that's how important, brand marketing is. Like, I tell all of my people, you have to paint your trucks. I don't care what color you paint them green, blue, purple, orange, neon yellow. I don't care what color you paint them. But paint them a color that's going to stick out in your area. Don't paint it with similar to another company. Pick a unique color, but make it stand out.
So 2016 is when I saw that. 2020. So I grew my business from basically freshman year of high school till 21. And we did 1.1 the year that I sold. And, after I saw your truck in the parking lot in the SA conference, and then I think that same time I heard Jonathan talking about, either it was on a YouTube video or it was there at the conference when he was talking about marketing and branding, and your truck is a rolling billboard, and gosh darn it, if you're rolling down the street in a white pickup truck like every other person, you're doing something wrong. So my market right here is in McKinney in Collin County is the same market that Jonathan is in. And so obviously City Turf has that neon yellow, same colors. I was sitting here thinking, like, what colors am I going to do? I need to do something. I can't do yellow because City Turf has yellow. I can't do orange because Land Care is orange here. They're a commercial company. We're residential, but I don't want to get mixed up with Land Care. I told my guys, I said, we're doing purple. There's nobody here that has purple. And they go, if you do purple, we're leaving. And I'm like, come on, it's purple. Like, this is a great color. They're like, no, that's not it. So I saw your truck and I was like, all right, we're doing lime green too. But we're up here in the Dallas market. There's nobody else in the Dallas market that does lime green. We're going to do it. I swear to you, we had 6 trucks. I swear, the day that I painted our first truck neon green, like the sign behind me, I had more people in the first 3 months come up to me and, dude, how many trucks have you purchased? Like, dude, you're growing so fast. They were seeing the same 1 or 2 trucks driving around the same neighborhood.
But now you
every
stood
week.
out.
But exactly, you would drive down a street and my truck would be snot green right there, and everything else was white or everything else was any other color. And now it looked like I had a billion trucks because our route density was so tight, but they were seeing the same truck. I hear people and they're like, dude, I don't want to be obnoxious like that. I don't want to. And I'm like, dude, your vehicles riding around town in the same neighborhoods that you're servicing all of the time is literally your biggest marketing play you could do almost. Like, how much more do you want? Like, that vehicle is sitting there doing nothing for you with the plain white, your plain white colors and your logo on it. It's not doing the same as a big bright color.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about, so you've obviously really branded the green. I'm sure you are one of those situations when you you're in Tyler, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you roll into Tyler and everybody's like Salcido Lawns. Like, there's probably not many people that haven't heard of you to some extent. Like, they know the trucks, they see the trucks all the time. Like, you have brand recognition in your area, I'm sure, at this point. Talk to me about where marketing, because I'm sure your marketing has maybe changed and pivoted a little bit over the years, but talk to me a little bit about where stuff started when you were gung-ho, trying to get your income back up, starting over from scratch to today. What did you do in the beginning that worked for marketing? And then what are you doing now for marketing that's kind of your long-term strategy? Maybe it's more profitable, maybe it's more scalable. What was there a change? Is it the same thing you're doing now you were doing then? What did your marketing look like for somebody that's trying to figure out where to go?
So when I started over, I did lots of stuff that was really cheap because I didn't have a lot of money. I did flyers, I did door hangers, I knocked on doors. I literally would go door to door knocking and offering up our services. And I tell you, if you devalue door knocking, you need to rethink it, because door knocking really does work. I had a friend who grew his company from 250,000 in 2021 to 5 million in 2022, all by door knocking. So door knocking works. Flyers, door hangers, door knocking, Facebook videos, Facebook ads, lots of informational videos. Just quick little snippets, 2-3 minute videos of how-tos. Because if somebody was going to do it themselves, I wanted to give them the proper information, how not to screw up their yard so they can do it the right way. And then at the very end of the video, I'm not Grant Cardone. I'm not going to do the hard sell on you. I just say, hey, if you'd like for us to give you a quote, give us a shout. That's it. That was my sell. And man, we picked up so many clients from doing that, because it does a couple of things. One is you build instant trust with your potential clientele out there because you're giving away information. And then two, it sets you up as a leader in your market, that you are extremely knowledgeable about what you do. And then it helps you to grow quite easily. So I did a lot of that, and that's mostly how I grew. I didn't mess a whole lot with Google. I didn't do Google ads, or I had a little bit of SEO going on in the background. But now the majority of our stuff, we're doing Facebook ads and Google ads. And that's simply because of my time constraints. I just don't have time to make the videos like I used to. As soon as I can get some more time, I plan on doing that, or having some of my managers make some of those videos so that we can put some more of that information back out there. But yeah, I did quick, easy guerrilla marketing tactics, just getting our name out into the market.
Do you have
course,
somebody
painting our trucks and all that kind of stuff.
Do you have somebody now that runs all of your marketing and stuff like that, or do you still do it all yourself, or what does that look like?
I've got a marketing firm that we use. It's Larison Media, Larison, Larison Media. They run all of our marketing, and they're doing a fabulous job.
Nice. We have only a few minutes left, and I want to touch on the next piece because this is such a big problem in the industry, and you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it. You probably could guess, and it's labor and hiring and recruiting and all of that kind of stuff. And so we haven't really touched on this much. We only have a couple of minutes left. What do you? I can see it just by looking at what you do on social and the way your website's set up and all that kind of stuff. Talk to me about what hiring and recruiting looks like for you, and what do you do? How do you attract people? Because as you're growing so quickly, obviously you have to bring the right people in, put them in the right seat, get them trained, all of that kind of stuff. And I was looking at your website briefly before I jumped on, and on your about page, I believe it was talking about the amount of training and everything that you go into, your people and staff and all that kind of stuff. So obviously that's a big piece, but talk to me about what hiring and recruiting looks like for you. And for people that are listening to this and they're like, man, I cannot find any good people. How is Marvin growing so fast? Because we'd love to grow, but we can't find anybody to come and do the work. What do you tell them?
Well, I would say, first of all, make sure your company culture is on spot. It's got to be on point, because if people don't like working for you, you're going to have a hard time keeping people around. So that, I would say, that's number one. Make sure your company culture is on point. Beyond that, our best hires have always been word of mouth, referrals from other employees. And then we're constantly hiring, and we're always looking for the right fit. And sometimes we may not necessarily have an open position, but if we find that right person, I will make a position for them. I will find a position for them because they're the right fit. So we're constantly have ads up. We're always hiring. And we're available. But I would say the biggest part of it is we take care of our employees. We treat them well. We pay well. We offer 401k and vacation and what else? Sick pay and health insurance and tacos and all that kind of stuff. We do our best to take care of our people. And like I said it before, business is not always black and white. Sometimes there's some gray in there, and we try to work with people. Obviously, we have people who have kids, and life happens, and people get sick, and grandparents die, and stuff actually happens. And so we try to work with people when stuff does happen, because life isn't black and white. Business is not black and white. Yes, I understand that our health our company handbook may have blackout dates during certain times of the year, but you know what? When family members die, they never die at a convenient time, or your kid never gets sick when it's a convenient time. So we try to work with people and treat them like they're humans, and just treat them the way that I would want to be treated if I worked for myself.
That's good.
I would say that's probably the biggest thing that we do.
That's awesome. We'll end it with that note. I maybe we can have you on the show again in the future. We can talk about the next piece, because I know people are sitting here thinking, okay, well, that's great, but I don't have enough money to give people all of the benefits and all of the other stuff and all that stuff. So maybe we can talk about in the future the bidding strategy, how to know your numbers, how to price things right, because you've obviously done that well. You've done that well enough that you can look at a business and say, okay, to get us to the place that we need to be, here's where our numbers need to be if we're going to acquire another company and all that kind of stuff. So, well, maybe that's a segue into the next show. Sometime down the future, we can have you back on and we can talk about some of that great stuff. So, Marvin, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the show, dropping all the gold nuggets. You are a wealth of knowledge and a very, very key person to the industry, and look forward to more things coming from you. Hopefully there's more opportunities for you to share your wisdom and knowledge with people in the industry in the future. So appreciate you being on the show. And yeah, we appreciate you, and have a good rest of your day.